So today we're going to talk about the real future. Now the real future is a bit of an odd name because it just refers to something in the future. Whereas the future, I am going to do something, je vais faire quelque chose, is quite direct, it's very imminent. You use it generally to refer to something that's absolutely going to happen. It's usually a little bit near it in the future. The real future refers to something that's going to happen, but perhaps it's a little bit, maybe not quite as certain. It will happen in the future sometimes. Maybe it's a bit more distant in the future. To be honest, they might be a little bit interchangeable. You'll see them both. But the real future is slightly a little bit more distant, I would say, or not quite as certain. Anyway, um, let's have a quick look at a few examples of this. And what you might see is you will see some very familiar things and some maybe unfamiliar things. So let's have a quick look at this. Quand je serai plus âgé, je quitterai l'école et je continuerai mes études à la fac. J'achèterai une belle maison à la campagne et j'aurai 2 enfants. So, when I'm older, I will leave school. I will continue my studies at university. I'll buy a beautiful house in the countryside and I will have 2 children. You may well be able to see that here you can probably just see this bit highlighted here is the infinitive. Okay, if you look here, there's the infinitive with a little ending on, and here's the infinitive with a little bit of an ending on. But if you look at these ones, these verbs here, je serai, j'aurai, then these aren't the infinitive, but they still have this same ending. So as we can see, just from this small example, the real future tends to use the infinitive as their base, as their stem, and then they will add certain endings. Now, it's not quite as simple as that. So let's have a quick look at how it works. So let's take an ER verb, for example. What I've done is I've put the infinitive down as the stem because for ER verbs and IR verbs, then we use the stem as the infinitive. So for ER and IR verbs, you use the stem is the infinitive. For RE verbs, stem is the infinitive but minus the E. And then you add a load of endings. And as long as you use that as your principle, then for the vast majority of verbs, it will work this way. Let's take an ER verb for an example. So, jouer is to play. You maybe looked it up in the dictionary, or you just know it, or you've had a look down your present tense verb table, had a look at the infinitive column, and there you can see jouer. And so all we simply do is, depending on who you're talking about, you add the ending on the end. So you may recognize that this is very similar to the present tense of avoir, which means to have. So, je jouerai, I will play. Tu joueras, you will play. Il, elle, ou on jouera. He, she, or one will play, or we will play. Nous jouerons. I'm sure you can recognize that nous ending. Vous jouerez. You, plural, will play. You lot, and il or elle joueront. Now then, this absolutely works for most ER, IR, and RE verbs. However, there are quite a few exceptions. If you want to check them, I'm going to show you the vast majority of them on the next page. Simply pause that page if you want to check if it's an irregular verb. But remember, you will have to change the ending. Now, it is a little confusing in French compared to English because we have 2 words, I will play, but remember French doesn't. Yeah, so you just simply have to, this is almost like the will bit, I will do it, you add it onto the ending. Okay, We have two words. I will play. They simply have one, but they change the ending. So don't be trying to find the word for will or I'm going to or something like that and then put the infinitive on the end. It doesn't work. French doesn't have the same rules of formation for their tenses as we do, and that's something that people do find quite complicated. So let's have a quick look at some of the irregulars. Here they are. Pause if you need to, and so you can have a quick check. But we've got j'irai, j'aurai, je devrais, je dirai, je serai, je ferai, il faudra, je mourrai, je pourrai, je recevrai, je saurai, je tiendrai, je viendrai, je verrai, j'enverrai, je voudrais. So pause if you need to, but we'll have a quick look at some of a few exercises. So I will play golf. So we know to play golf is jouer au golf. So remember, all we do is choose the person, je, go back if you need to, or check your booklet and add the correct ending. You take the infinitive and add the ending. So you will finish the homework. As you can see, finir is an IR verb. We've got the infinitive. We choose our person and we add the ending. Tu finiras les devoirs. She will drink some wine. Now this is an RE verb this time. Remember, with RE verbs, we have to take off the final E. Elle, and then simply add the ending. Now, my dad will go skiing. Faire du ski is the word for to go skiing. They say to do skiing, but that's fine, to go skiing. But remember, check if it's an irregular verb. We know that faire is an irregular verb, and this is going to be our stem. So let's just change that and put that as our stem first of all. Now, it says my dad, so we know that my dad is mon père, but if you're wondering what the ending is, check back, see if there are any of these words that you can substitute for my dad and it still means effectively the same thing. We can't say my dad, I will go skiing, my dad, you will go skiing. You need to say my dad, he will go skiing. That's who we're referring to. So mon père fera du ski. We will go to France. Again, it's another irregular verb. That's our infinitive, but we can't use it because the stem is ir. Nous irons en France. They will have, again, it's an irregular verb. There are quite a few irregulars. Avoir de bonnes nouvelles. We don't use that. We use pour as our stem. Vous is the word for you, plural. Check your ending. It's going to be iz. Vous aurez de bonnes nouvelles. They will be happy. Être content. Again, it's an irregular. And check your ending. It's going to be seront. My daughters. Again, we're talking about two girls, and so we're going to substitute it with they. I'm afraid it's another irregular. And so the person is mes filles enverront une lettre. And that's the real future. Have a go yourself.